Movies aren't just made on the set. A lot of the actual making happens right here.
Film editing is the most misunderstood concept in filmmaking. To the trained eye, it's an invisible art form. But to the average viewer, it goes unnoticed. Before we can talk about why it's misunderstood, we need to understand what editing is and why the process exists. Film editing is the process of assembling and cutting together footage to create a finished motion picture. Editing is done in the post-production process, which means all the filming is already done. The editor then has to review the angles of all the different cameras used for a particular shot in order to edit the best shots together for the scene. It's a complex process that involves a lot of technical skill and creative vision. Editing is an essential part of making movies. It's the process that brings a film to life. Without editing, a movie would just be a collection of random shots. Nothing would be organized, it would be one giant mess.
I did it! I did it! I did it!
That's why you need someone to make sense out of all of it. It's the editor's role to shape the story, create the pace of what you're watching, and build the emotions that you should feel as an audience member.
I think editors play a big role with directors in giving them support, making them feel like they can look at something that may have trouble or problems and be comfortable enough so that they can approach those problems.
There are many different types of film editing. Some of the most common types of editing include narrative editing. This way of editing is used to create a coherent story from start to finish. Pacing editing is another way. This type is used to control the flow and timing of a film. It involves creating a sense of urgency, suspense, or relaxation. And emotional editing. This style is used to generate some sort of response in the audience like joy, sadness, or fear. Professional editors use different types of methods because not every shot or scene or movie is the same. Just like there's a variety of styles, there's been a wide variety of technology for editors to create with over the years. Film editing has a long and rich history. Over 100 years ago, the first films were edited by hand using scissors and tape. Celluloid had to be carefully handled or else it could be ruined with no way of recovering the film. It was also very time-consuming and really limited the creativity of the editor. In the 1920s, a machine called the Moviola revolutionized the editing process. The Moviola allowed editors to view and edit film more easily, which led to more creative and sophisticated editing. Decades later, the introduction of the Steenbeck revolutionized the editing process once again. The Steenbeck allowed editors to view film in slow motion and frame by frame, which gave them even more control over their work. Fast forward to today, editing for movies and YouTube videos like this one is all done digitally. Computers have absolutely changed the game for artists to be more efficient and creative. Digital editors have access to a huge number of tools and software, which allows them to create more sophisticated and complex edits. So after a century of film editing, why is it still misunderstood? There's a few reasons why. First, it's an invisible art form. When it comes to Hollywood, the average person pays attention to the actors, the director, or even just the studio that produced the movie. Editors kind of get left in the dark and are often underappreciated. Because they don't get much of the spotlight for their work, people don't fully understand what they do or how they do it. Second, film editing is often seen as a very technical process. When you watch a movie, you're not supposed to be consciously aware of the editing. People think that it's just about cutting and pasting footage together, but editing is much more than that. It's about creating meaning and emotion, which is a lot easier said than done.
Are you on my team? Just represent, pull.
The best editors are extremely intentional about their craft. They use the power of images and sound to create really beautiful moments. Here are two real-life stories about misunderstood film editors. The first one is about Walter Murch. He was a well-known film editor and sound designer. One of the biggest projects in Murch's career came in 1979 with Apocalypse Now. His unconventional methods and dedication to the artistic vision often clashed with the expectations of the industry. Murch had an innovative concept called sound montage, which seamlessly blends different sound elements to create a cohesive audio experience. He emphasized the emotional and psychological impact of each scene, often using sound design and editing to evoke specific responses from the audience. His work on Apocalypse Now, the Godfather trilogy, and tons of other projects really solidified his reputation as a master editor. Because of his willingness to challenge tradition and commit to the artistic integrity, he has paved the way for new approaches to editing. Another editor who is misunderstood but has now left their mark on the industry is Thelma Schoonmaker. She was born in Algeria and raised in the US. In 1967, she was working on a student film and met none other than Martin Scorsese, and the rest is history.
You only exist out here because of me. That's the only reason.
Schoonmaker's unique style and ability to capture the intensity of Scorsese's films have made her an important part of his filmmaking process. Some of the iconic films that they have collaborated on include Taxi Driver, Raging Bull, Goodfellas, and The Departed.
Basically, the real editing doesn't begin until he comes into the editing room after he's finished shooting. Then we work really, terribly closely and discuss every cut and every frame.
These guys, you're right about this. It's just that it's the least amount of movement or something.
It's extremely exhilarating working with him because he's so intense and tremendous amount of humor. Also tremendous mood swings, very emotional, can be sometimes extremely depressed or worried, but I enjoy that about him. It's sort of like living with a volcano.
Her story is an example of the importance of collaboration and the significant role that film editors play in shaping the final product. There are so many examples of great editing throughout film history. Here's a few that I think are some of the best examples.
Come on, man!
Lawrence of Arabia. Anne Coates won an Oscar for her work on this classic epic. She balances intimate character moments with massive desert landscapes. This movie also has one of the coolest match cuts that I have ever seen. Next is Jaws. Verna Fields does an amazing job of building tension and horror around a killer shark.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
The blend of iconic music and cinematography are big reasons why this became the first summer blockbuster.
A single idea from the human mind can build cities.
Inception is another great pick. Lee Smith's editing in this mind-bending film is super detailed. It plays a really important role for the audience to navigate the complex narrative. The parallel editing between different dream levels and the precisely timed cuts create a really strong impact on the audience. And last but not least, Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Mrs. Wang, are you with us?
Paul Rogers edited this movie from home during the COVID-19 lockdowns, and that did not stop his outside-the-box thinking and techniques. His attention to detail and use of practical effects makes this movie really stand out.
Wow, that looks really good.
Editing is an essential part of filmmaking, and it's the process that brings a film to life. And the more you can understand it, the more you can appreciate it the next time that you watch a movie.
We're going to do a commercial and then talk some more. Can you do that?
I'll be here.
I started this YouTube channel to grow the community of movie fans, and you can help me continue creating authentic content. By supporting me on Patreon, you get immediate access to some cool perks as a way of saying thank you. You instantly get perks like a shout out in every video, early access to content, and you can join a live hangout with me every month. Also, every dollar that's donated will be reinvested back into the channel so I can make the best videos possible for you. Click the link in the description of this video or go to patreon.com/@Harry's to get started. I'll see y'all over there. Hey, if you want to watch another video about the filmmaking process, tap the video on your screen and I'll see y'all later.